Hey everybody, Psychosaurus is here. Welcome back to Age of Empires Online. And today we're gonna continue with the advisor sets. This time we're going for Babylonians, and next time it's just gonna be Norse, which is gonna be the last one. So yeah, maybe I'll do some update because there might be a few more changes happening anytime soon. If they are, I'll definitely have to take a look at those and see how updated I should make the video. How much update? Yeah, we're gonna need for those other civs. But yeah, for now, let's go with the Babylonians, what we have. And let's start with number 1 advisor set. And if you've ever played as Babylonians, then you know that one of their strongest units and like the best units they have are Lancers. So obviously number 1 choice is gonna be for the Lancers. Now, why Lancers are really good? Because they have charge attack. That's one thing that allows them to actually burst the enemy units before the fight even starts. So that's one nice thing. They burst the enemies. And another thing, they have increased attack range. If you haven't ever noticed that, yes, they attack from greater distance than your typical melee unit, which gives them huge advantage, especially if in high numbers. So that's why they are really strong. So for the Lancers, what do we need? So again, H1, H2 is pretty much your personal choice. What I would suggest is going for food discounts. And why is that? Because Babylonians have probably the worst food income in the game, especially late game. Early game, it's fine because hey, you have ox carts, you keep the distance with huntables, that's okay. Berry bushes, same thing. But once we go for the farms, as you know, they don't have storehouses. They have ox carts. So if you would want to build your farms away from TCs, then you need ox carts to make sure those farmers are as efficient as possible. So that costs population, obviously. Ox carts cost population, so that means, hey, if you want to build further away, you need to spend some population there. So if you want maximum efficiency there, yes, it's gonna cost you in population. So that's why food discounts. So you don't need that many farms, and you just need the farms, the ones you build around TC. And yes, we have gardens to help you with that. And gardens are nice, but when you take a look at them, it's like basically 1 food per second once you get the garden upgrade. If you have Gerda, it's even better. But when we take a look, we have 12 gardens. So overall, I would describe it as having 10 villagers on food, just passively generating the food without the need of spending population on that. That is something that helps Babylonians, definitely. But gardens on their own, in some harder quests, definitely are not going to be good enough if your Lancers are dying too fast. So definitely, I wouldn't rely only on gardens. And definitely support it with my villagers as well, with farms. And unfortunately, Babylonians have only the first tier of farming upgrades. So again, it works against them. That's why food discounts. So H1, I suggest Akaton, because hey, you won't get your villagers out as soon as possible. Luckily for you, the TC can keep working because you age up through ziggurat. First you build it, then you research it. You research the ages at the ziggurat, so that's a free work time for your TC. Hey, keep spending on those villagers. Second of all, once you start getting the gardens, the production of villages also speeds up, so you want to make sure you keep up with the villager production and don't have to get the extra food income. Well, you just want to make sure you have enough food for producing the villagers. And that's why also I suggest Thought, and Thought is gonna be good when you're also training the Lancers, saving the food on villagers, obviously. Again, you can focus, you don't really have to focus on food this early that much. You just get like few villagers. Then you focus on wood, because we need stables. Stables are expensive. 250 wood per stable, that's a lot. So yeah, you definitely want to focus on the wood. So save as much food as possible, so you don't have to spend or put too many villagers on food, and so you put them on wood. And you gather enough, so you have, hey, stables. If you need, hey, you can take the villagers and put them on gold as well before you get your markets. And yes, if you need markets, this helps as well with the caravan production. So thought in general works really great with Babylonians. Also, you don't need that much training time. So if someone asks something like village elder for H2, you don't really need it as Babylonian because you have the gardens. So get the gardens up and running as soon as possible. Hey, your villager production is fast, more than fast enough. And yeah, so you focus on the discounts there. Villagers will be cheap, lances will be cheaper, which is nice. Then we go for H3, and again we're focusing on the food. So we're grabbing the Gerdat. Why? Because we want to make sure we have enough food for the lancers. If they keep dying, and they will be dying, they are not having the highest HP of all cavalry units, definitely not. The strength of lancers is that they are easy to replace thanks to the gardens, and because you want to replace them as often as possible, that means you need resources. And obviously the extra food you get from Gerda is really nice. And like I said, Babylonians have only the first tier of farming upgrade, so you could consider also Sophia, but that is not that good because it's not that huge bonus as you would get with someone like Norse, because you don't get the second or third tier of farming upgrades. You have only the first one, so the bonus won't be that great as with the other civs. So that's why Gerda definitely grants you a lot more. Again, it's up to 12 gardens, so that means up to 12 food per second. So it's like having 10 free villagers on your just working and generating the food for you. If we had picked Sophia, that would mean, hey, 20% faster gather rate. So I would describe it, hey, let's just say you have 20% more villagers. You would need to have like 50 villagers to get the 10 villagers. Just so you know, maybe not even that many, but yeah, it's just a huge number to get the same value as Gerda. That's how so Gerda is definitely the better option here. And then obviously H4 Nebuchadnezzar. Why? Because direct upgrade for lancers, more damage, which is good, works with the charge, works with the increased range. Definitely want that. And then also there's buff for mounted archers, so if you need to deal with enemy cavalry, which are hard to deal with lancers, something like Gallic horsemen, mounted archers can be good support for your lancers. Just grab few and make sure you focus down the enemy cavalry units one at a time or two at a time, how well you manage your micro or how many mounted archers you get, can depend. But yeah, this is what I would suggest for lancers then. And if you want, obviously we have other options. Philon is there for you if you want to build those gardens faster. Irene is kind of worse for Babylonian because Babylonians have only the first tier for farming. I already said that, but they also have only the first tier for stone gathering. So again, it's really bad. Gold mining is your typical second tier, but usually people will stick to the caravan, so the gold income. You might grab the gold upgrades, but yeah, it's just for the early game, so definitely it's better to focus on caravans. And because you have gardens, caravans will be coming out so fast, you won't really need the gold mining. So the last one would be the wood gathering, but with all the food discounts I told you to grab here, it's not a problem to get the wood gathering upgrade. But yeah, iron is a little bit weaker here. Fin bar, okay, fishing boats if you need to. Leonorius, that's only speedrun only, not our case here. Chariot in some specific scenarios. Apep can be good for early food income. If you have enough huntables, berry bushes around, maybe even some fishing spots for your villagers, Apep can be good. Tutmos can be okay, but like I said, if you have the food discounts, you can just take the villagers, put them on wood. You don't really need Tutmos, but it is also an option. You just need to remember that you will need a little bit more food when you're training villagers. And okay, anyone else? Muikmeron, if you are training a lot of the ox carts, that can be nice. Zephyros is really bad in my opinion as Babylonian. You don't really need movement speed, you don't really need the carry capacity. Why? Because you have ox carts. If you manage really well with the ox carts, there's no need for this. Agathon is, in my opinion, the best for Babylonians. H1, that's why I prefer him, but you might prefer something else. Valen is also okay option. For H2, you can go Hermalaus. That is an option. Other than that, yeah, typical gold income, Doomnorix, Xeno, Nanus, whichever you prefer. Britomatus can be okay for defense, Narmer for the health regen if you want to. Not really something you should want though. Klytos, I would say Klytos is not that needed because as Babylonian you can get away with getting just one armory because Gardens again buff the research time here, so the research is not that needed. But if you need the upgrades really fast, then Klytos can be okay. Okay, and I guess, yeah, Todd is like one of the best if you want the movement speed. Andrasta is here, punch for defense. Yeah, like I said, H1, H2 is typically your choice. It's up to you, whatever you choose. In case you don't have Gerda, Ator can be okay in some situations, but it's not really needed. Lancers already have the pierce armor of their own, so they are doing really well there. They don't need the extra damage against ranged units that much, so not really needed. And siege, it's pretty much the same thing. Lancers just charge at the siege, siege is going down, and Lancers have the base crush armor, so not really needed. Civil Aunos, if you want to make them move fast, this is, in my opinion, probably the second best alternative. You don't really need the other alternative, which is Lohrasp, because Lancers are anti-infantry units and they already have some basic infantry armor, so Lohrasp is not really that needed. But if you wanna make them even better against infantry, it is an option, definitely is. So yeah, that's that. And if you don't have Nebuchadnezzar, it's okay. Lancers can work even without Nebuchadnezzar. We can go, obviously, economy and whatever is here, but Agamemnon is probably the best choice here. If you want to support them with Palintrons, Timo is there as well. Otherwise, it's just the economy defense if you want to. But yeah, Nebuchadnezzar is your best choice here. Let's move on. Number 2, and this one has become really strong with the latest winter event, thanks to the piercing frost arrows, and that would be the Chariot archers. And oh boy, if you have watched my videos, you could see how stupidly fast they can complete quests. I just seriously hate it. Even without the piercing frost, Chariot archers were doing really great. So let's go through them. So Chariot archers, why are they so strong? If you pick Sargon, you have really great range, 45 range, which is like one of the greatest ranges you can find on ranged unit. And with this range, you pretty much outrange anything except Palintrons. And siege boats, I should say as well. But how often do you actually see those that it would make you really worried? So yeah, the key thing here is you need Sargon. That is definitely the thing you need to make sure the Chariot death ball is actually gonna work. Otherwise, it's gonna be bad. But yeah, let's start. H1, it's again up to you, but I prefer Agathon. Alternative would be Tutmos, probably the second best one. Why Agathon? Because I don't really want to focus on the food that much, and once I get my gardens up and running, they can generate more than enough food for me, so I don't really have to worry about the villagers anymore. So that's why I just focus the villagers on the wood, sometimes on goldstone, and just get what I need. Yeah, and build the stables. Hey, I can start producing the chariots. H2, what you should prefer is definitely Guyana. Why? Because ranged units, maximum range, plus line of sight can make sure you keep them safe from something very dangerous like onagers, catapults, ballistas, maybe elephant archers, maybe know about like enemy wave of elephants coming at you. It's really nice to have the line of sight as a way to protect your chariot archers, and obviously range to outrange things. And because chariot archers are fast, obviously stable units, you can easily micro them and get away. Alternative, Demon can be actually interesting option here because 20% discount if you are H3. You don't have the Sargon, you just want to make sure you have enough of the chariots out. You can defend yourself. Timon can actually help you with that. And you lose Guyana, but you still have like 39 range, so it is still pretty good range. And chariot archers get pierce armor from their champion upgrade. They become even more cheaper with their champion upgrade, which honestly, I just feel like they have such a strong champion upgrade. I wonder why they even have the pierce armor there, to be honest. Oh well, they have it there. So yeah, with the pierce armor they can actually take some hits from enemy defensive structures, even some ranged units. So even if you lose the range, it's not that scary with chariot archers. But obviously the range helps, since you will be going mainly for them. You don't really need frontline with them. Anything else, again, it's just economy. If you don't have the Guyana, you should always prefer Guyana. That's what you should do. H3, obvious choice, Sohrab. You want to destroy buildings as fast as possible, so Sohrab is there. That's all you need to know. Maximum damage to the buildings. If you don't have Sohrab, Cosmas is a good alternative, but you don't really need Cosmas because chariot archers are fast, but it definitely makes sure that they survive. Like, they fire, you can get away, and before the enemy actually is able to even reach you, you just kill them. And they might not even touch your chariots at this point. So Cosmas can be a good option, but Sohrab is definitely something you wanna prefer if you wanna just complete the quests really fast. Other alternatives, I guess honestly for us, if you need to get Sargon active as soon as possible. But other than that, there's nothing really for your chariot archers. Your villagers will be focusing on the wood. You'll have caravans generating gold. So economy is definitely not something you would need, and you just need stables to make sure they get out. If you need defensive structures, it is an option, but I wouldn't suggest it. And H4, obvious choice, we need Sargon. No doubt. Why? Because maximum range and attack rate. That means, hey, they keep their distance, so the enemy won't be even able to attack you. And because of the attack rate, if they have cavalry units, you might be able to get few extra hits off before they actually reach you and kill them as they are reaching your chariot archers. So your chariots won't be taking that much damage thanks to this. I I'm just gonna say Sargon is obvious choice. No doubt, you should pick him always with Chariot archers. If you don't have him, this build kinda becomes meh, and you need some frontline to help your Chariot archers. And if you take a look at the alternatives here, there's not really an alternative. Maybe like Agamemnon and that's it. Maybe you could go Timo again, like hey, you have like 3-4 Palinterons and then Chariots are protecting them. That can be an option. But again, with Sargon, with Sohrab and Guyana, you don't really need Timo. So that's the Chariots, yeah, just huge range, a lot of damage. And I'll stay here, and that is because there is one more unit that can utilize pretty much the same thing I said, and that's the War Chariots. And War Chariots are somewhat similar, but they also get +1 area damage with Sargon. So if you have Sargon, your War Chariots will do splash damage, which is definitely an interesting thing. And with that recent buff, they actually are really strong units, I would say. I wouldn't say they're like completely immortal or something like that. That's what Chariots do. With their range, they are practically immortal. War Chariots are a little bit tougher guys, that they are not afraid to get close because hey, they don't have that high health as before, but thanks to their high pierce armor they get now, their effective health against pierce damage is even higher than before, which I find somewhat insane. So basically, if you can kill the enemy melee units with War Chariots, then you should be afraid of only the pierce damage, and thanks to their pierce armor, it's not even that scary. So War Chariots can work just fine as well. And thanks to the champion upgrade, even Siege is not that scary because they can destroy it. Sure, be careful, they don't have crush armor, they can still take a lot of damage from Siege units like Catapult. It can hurt, but they definitely have a way to deal with the siege. And they are pretty fast as well, so make sure to dodge, but beware, they're also pretty big units, so might be hard to dodge. I would even say don't even dodge if it's like one catapult, you just go after it, destroy it. And I think it might be even better just go with Timon just to make them cheaper, because you might be replacing them that often and you don't really have to be worried about getting closer. They'll do just fine at a closer range. So I would say Timon can be a really good option here. And I guess that's all I have to say. War Chariots are interesting, you should try them sometimes. I mean, these days they do a pretty good job. Okay, and now let's move on to the less popular sets, but still pretty good sets, and there is quite a few Babylonian sets these days, and it's just interesting. First one, and this unit also got recent buff, which I'm glad they got because I like that unit. That's the Royal Guard. And Royal Guards, if you know, they had pretty bad times before because of the champion upgrade. It is strong champion upgrade, but because they lose a lot of damage against buildings, it can hurt them. Damn, it hurt them a lot. Luckily, the nerf to their damage against buildings has been reduced, so now they don't lose that much damage. They still lose it, but it's not that bad right now. So definitely I suggest trying them out. And what do I recommend? So H1, I would suggest Odysseus. And I need to explain this because Royal Guards are very expensive units. If you take a look at the base cost, 55 food, 55 gold. That is a huge cost. That is probably the most expensive unit you're gonna find. That costs like per pop. Before I would say it was Rams, because Rams were stupidly expensive, but this was like the next most expensive unit. Well, it still is, to be honest. Like 110 units of resources per pop, that's a lot. I don't think even Berserker has that. And we are not including items like Master Assassin's Gauntlets here, okay, which increases it more than 20%. Just huge. So that's why Odysseus. Cheaper barracks and cheaper infantry units that you train there. Well, not only infantry, for some other civs. But yeah, whatever you train at the barracks is gonna become cheaper. This is why. Royal Guards are super expensive. You wanna make sure they are cheap. So that's why Odysseus, I suggest Odysseus. It's pretty good advisor, I would say, right now. Definitely can help you with some expensive infantry builds, maybe even some other builds as well. Make sure you can afford to train the units. H2 would be Heraclitus. Now obviously you can go Thought because gold is not a big issue, but yeah, I guess that can be also a really good choice. You can go Thought. I think that also makes sense because you don't really need the training time here because again you have Guardians as Babylonians, so the cost is the most important. Gold is usually not that big issue because caravans are super strong. So I guess Thought would be better alternative here, but I'm just gonna say Heraclitus because Heraclitus can be useful when you're in Bronze Age. You don't even have all the guardians you need. You don't have like access to the royal guards, so I would recommend training whatever you have available at this point, which would be like spearmen, it would be like shield bearers, before you actually reach the royal guards. That's why I would say Heraclitus is the better choice, but obviously you can go Thought, it's also an option. But what you would train from barracks at this point would be the spearmen, and spearmen just cost a lot of gold. They cost more gold than food, which is unique for Babylonian spearmen if I am not mistaken, and the gold cost is quite huge. So that's why I would suggest Heraclitus rather than Thought. But yeah, Thought can help you with villagers, caravans as well, so it's up to you. Pamphilos. Now, like I said, their champion upgrades make them lose some damage against buildings, and Pamphilos should help you to get the power back. And with Pamphilos right now you actually get at least the base damage against buildings, which is huge actually. The royal guards can easily get like close to 100 DPS, which is insane. With Pamphilos, hey, full 100 DPS against buildings. Without him, it's only 75% right now. So that's why Pamphilos, so they can actually destroy buildings. You don't have to go with him. You can go Percasivilaunus for the movement speed. That is also a good option. And if you are like, hey, my royal guards are not destroying the buildings that fast, you can actually mix them with sappers, and sappers will be the anti-building unit for you, while the royal guards will be killing enemy units. And they actually do a really good job at that. Like I said, they can reach almost 100 DPS without problem, which is huge for a one pop unit. Like 100 DPS, oh my gosh, that's a huge damage. So yeah, Vercasivilanos also helps them to reach the enemy units because their movement speed is like one of their weaknesses. They are not the fastest units that exist, so movement speed can help you here. Otherwise, honestly, force can be good, so you actually get the golden age and have the royal guards available to you. Pamphilos, I already said. Gerda can be an option if you want the food, but because of the discounts I've recommended before, I don't think you really need Gerda that much. But if you feel like, hey, food is not enough, Gedda is an option as well. So is Sophia, but Gedda is still better. Okay. And if you have issues with priests, I guess Viriatos can be an option, because priests, huge range, annoying. You need to reach them. Viriatos can help you with that. But yeah, like I said, Pamphilos I think is the best option here, with Vercasilanos being the second one. Now H4, and this is where you actually need General Zoo. Why? Because General Zoo gives your royal guards bonus damage protection, so they won't be dying to their counters, such as bowmen, Scorpios, anti-infantry units such as Hippospaced, Lancers, Cataphracts, Longswordsmen, stuff like that. So they won't be dying to these kinds of units with bonus against infantry. So that definitely helps, and it is definitely nice. Royal Guards can reach like 1000 health if you have like Tiberius, Master Assassin Gauntlets. Shouldn't be a problem to reach like 1000 health with Royal Guards. So the bonus damage protection is definitely something you want, so it helps you. You could also say that you can just pick different milestones from the North Sith, and instead of the adaptiveness you pick Sunder or Frenzy, and further buff the damage of Royal Guards, while General Zoo is giving you the bonus damage protection. That can work, but remember, you need to reach the Golden Age to get the Royal Guards, and before that your units would be weaker without the bonus age protection in those quests where you weren't planning to use them. So careful with that. But yeah, General Zoo definitely you want. And another thing, he also reduces the cost of Royal Guards. Again, Royal Guards super expensive. So that's why this is more focused on the discounts, making them cheaper, so you can actually afford to even train them. Like on their own, they are very strong. The only issue you will have with them is their huge cost. Training time is not a problem. You have gardens. Health, like I said, 1000 health, damage, almost 100 DPS, so really good stats for these units. They're just very expensive. And their armor is also not one of the greatest things. They have only the infantry armor, crush armor, and that's it. No pierce armor, no cavalry armor. Cavalry, hey, if they get close, you kill them, no problem. Ranged, you need to get close enough to actually kill them. And that's the problem, they will be dying. So that's why General Zoo, yes. So, cheaper units, they last longer. You won't have to replace them that much. So again, that saves you resources. And that's the Royal Guards. Now, let's move on to another less common build, but it still works, and that would be Sappers. And I would suggest Sappers doing it like this, even with Muikmeron or some others. And then Odysseus is fine, but I guess I would rather go with Agathon again. This would be my Sapper build, or maybe I would change it a little bit, but I would say something like this. So yeah, again, H1 is up to you. I recommend Agathon again, so you don't have to focus that much on food. Odysseus is fine as well, making Sappers cheaper. This is nice. Cleon, because you're gonna need a lot of gold for the Sappers, so you can actually afford them. Tutmos, obviously, for the wood and the others. Okay, H2. You want to focus on gold, because Sappers, once you have their champion upgrade, and the sooner you get it, the better. Sappers cost only gold, which is really good. So that's why Muikmeron. Not only because he makes Sappers cheaper, but also you can get the upgrade sooner. The upgrade is gonna cost 20% less. All the armor attacks will be cheaper. Aging up is gonna be cheaper. Muikmeron is just gonna help you a lot, and it's gonna really transition well into the late game when you are spamming those Sappers. They'll cost only gold, so pure gold discount is really nice. Obvious alternatives would be, again, it would be like Higgins, but who cares about the health regen? These guys will be dying somewhat fast, so you don't really want that. Doom Nordics is pretty okay, but I think you are gonna prefer more, like I said, Muikmeron. Klytos can be okay if you need the armor attacks, but Xeno is gonna be better than Doom Nordics here because more gold. It's gonna be better overall. Plus you get the caravans out faster even more. So that's really nice. Xeno is the good option here as well. Thought is not really that necessary. Andras, if you want the movement speed, the extra movement speed. Now, why did I choose movement speed over the building's damage? Well, I'm just gonna say it. Sappers are anti-building units already. They do really good damage against buildings anyway. So I would say it's better if I can just replace them and get them to the action sooner. So that's why movement speed. Obviously, you can go with Pamphilos as well. So you destroy the buildings even faster. But once you realize, hey, you have so many sappers, you're already destroying buildings real fast. You don't really need the extra damage against buildings that much. So that's what I would say about Casamance. But you can see, hey, sappers will be dying somewhat fast. So the movement speed would be nicer. Yeah, that's why Casamance. But obviously, if you want to try, Pamphilos is there as well. Honestly, for us, if you want the Golden Age as soon as possible. And then it's just food income, you don't care about the food, and that pretty much means there's nothing else. So those are like the free options here for you. And Golden Age, you want Zopyrus. Zopyrus, whatever. You want him. Why? Sappers are 40% more resistance to pierce damage, which is really nice. What are sappers made for? Destroying buildings. And guess what? Buildings do pierce damage. So that's a really nice thing. Sometimes you'll be just running by, ignoring the enemy units, and guess what? They'll be attacking from distance. And most of the units do what? Pierce damage. So that helps. And obviously movement speed is here as well. So faster replacement, they won't be dying that often. And you can just walk by even easier with Zopyrus. Alternatives, yeah, Theocolis is here, which I forgot with Royal Guards, but yeah, Theocolis is also an option here. Especially when he's got the 15% health now instead of 10, so that he's got nice buff. Agamemnon, if you have only him. If you want to support with Palintrons again, Timo is there. If you need economy, it's here. But yeah, that's Sappers. You just destroy buildings so fast and make sure you can keep replacing them as fast as possible. Sappers can work really nicely. Now let's move on to something more recent that became available. And this one I'm just a little bit skeptical of how good it is. But it is still an option. And I guess it would be something like this, or maybe I should say I would prefer this more. So yeah, what are we talking about? Makru the Mad Medians got reworked and he now buffs shield bearers, giving them more health and also bonus damage against buildings, which who cares? And then bowmen do a lot more damage, 75%. And just, oh yeah, let's put a lot of stats on some weaker units just so we can make them good late game, because why not? Well, whatever. It's here. So yeah, with this build you focus on shield bearers and bowmen. Now, nice thing about this build is that both of these units, once you get the bowman chariot upgrade, do not cost gold. So you can just focus on food, you focus on wood. Once you have more than enough wood at store, hey, you can just delete the woodcutters and just add few more bowmen if you need to, or shield bearers as you need to. So yeah, this build just focuses on those two units. So what are we gonna need? Obviously, Agathon again, I just gonna say that it's the best, but it's up to you. Whatever you pick H1, you can go again Odysseus because shield bearers are quite expensive. H2, you definitely want Lady Davcina, or how do you pronounce it? Because she makes your shield bearers more resistant pretty much against almost anything. Yeah, more resistant to melee infantry, melee cavalry, crush and splash. So that means they won't be dying too fast to infantry, they won't be dying too fast to cavalry, they won't be dying too fast to siege. And if the enemy units have splash, they won't be dying to that splash either. So yeah, why? Shield bearers are very expensive. And you just want to make sure they do not die super fast. And that's what Daftina comes into play. Just make sure they last long enough. 40% is pretty good time. That's gonna be better than what Thoth would offer you. That's gonna be better than what Heraclitus would offer you. They're just gonna last really long time. So with the longer duration, you won't have to replace them that often. Plus this armor goes well with the HP regen if you have Zac Spear. That again works for your shield bearers really nicely. If you don't, hey, HP spears are there as well. So yeah, you just make sure shield bearers are as tanky as possible, so you don't have to replace them that often, because if you are gonna replace them too often, it will cost you a lot of food, and like I said, Babylonians have one of the worst food incomes late game, because farming upgrades don't exist, except the one. So yeah, that's why I was a little bit like guessing what I should pick better at age 3. And I thought Gerda, yes, Gerda. Why? Because shield bearers cost a lot of food. Again, you want to support the food economy, so Gerda is there. If you don't want Gerda, maybe you're killing the stuff fast with your bowman, then Sohrab can be good because it works with your bowman. Similarly, it would be Pamphilos for your shield bearers, which shield bearers don't do that much damage. Honestly, if you have shield bearers that do like 50 damage, then your shield bearers ain't gonna last long enough to do the damage. Okay, focus on the health. Shield bearers, great at soaking damage. They already have really good pierce armor. Come on. Let the bowman do the damage. Pick Sohrab if you want anti-willing damage. And with this, like, the bowmen do a lot of damage. Yeah, alternative to Daftina would be like Guyana, so your bowmen actually have some range, but they already have pretty bad range. You just want to make sure you have the shield bearers in front of them, protecting from the enemy units. And they will do the damage, they just kill stuff really fast. But yeah, Sohrab is there. Okay, Cosmas is also an option, but you won't really need it if you're replacing the shield bearers properly. Then it would be Verkasevillanos for faster shield bearers, Onesiphorus again for the fast golden age, Pamphilos for the shield bearers, which you shouldn't do that. Shield bearers are there to take damage, not do damage. Yeah, Gerda is the option here. And that would be it. Maybe Viriatos if you have issues with priests. But yeah, this build has become recently available. Personally, I don't find it as good as like Sparabara Bowman or Hoplites plus Gastraphetes or Toxotes, or even like Longswordsman plus Bowman for the Celts would be like more interesting than this build, to be honest, because all of the mentioned have like really good range with even really good damage, which is also interesting. And the units they have at the front, I would say most of them will do better job than shield bearers, but shield bearers are still pretty good with this. I just don't find this build to be that good. It's gonna work in some legendary quests, but I wouldn't bet on something more challenging than 4-star quest. Even 3 stars, I feel like, yeah, you can make it work there, but 4 stars can depend. 5 stars definitely not. But yeah, this is definitely something we need to take a look at, because it's very interesting. And now let's do the last one over here, because yeah, which is gonna be the siege town. Oh no, wait, there's one more. Okay, okay, second to last. Okay, I forgot about one more. This one, oh my god, H2 is like, who really cares here? What do I care about? Nothing really. Okay, let's keep it like this, and I got on whatever. So yeah, we're focusing on siege towers this time. And siege towers are definitely a strong unit you definitely want to use. Usually I would say you can do like just amethyst of media and then pick whatever other unit you want to do, such as the lancers. And I would say lancers are probably the best choice because they will do good job even without Nebuchadnezzar, while other units like royal guards, sappers, I feel like they could use the H4 advisors that are specifically for them. It can work even without them, but it's definitely not gonna be anywhere near as good. But yeah, with this build, I would usually say, hey, Amethyst is there, and then something like Thought plus Gerda because of Lancers. But this time, we're gonna focus on this because I saw some players doing purely siege towers with some units loaded into them. And why is that? Because Farzana got buffed. And actually there is one thing that needs to be mentioned, and that is that Farzana currently is not showing the true information, and 50% more damage actually is bugged and it's not working. And in the end, it was decided that the damage is not actually happening. So Farzana currently and in the future will be giving you only the 50% attack rate and +1 area damage for the ranged attack. So that's what she does. No 50% extra damage, which honestly, when I saw it, I was like, oh my god, who came up with that? So definitely god, it's not happening. But yeah, this is gonna be it. Again, H1 is up to you. I say Agathon. This time it's gonna be because I suggest loading the siege towers with villagers. Why? Because you can then unload them and repair the siege towers right on the battlefield. So that's why. And yeah, you want to make sure they last long enough. Plus, you want to make sure you have them cheap so you can get out as many as possible once you start producing the siege towers. So that's why I got on. Okay, Andrasta, I just picked her because I was like, what do I pick here? It could be Todd, it could be anything. H2 does not really matter here, it's your preference rather. I just picked something that improves the movement speed for the siege towers so they go faster. Now Farzana is here, but I would say it's good if you're focusing only the siege towers and you want to utilize the ranged attack as much as possible, which don't do it without Farzana, okay? With Farzana it definitely looks really good, but without Farzana the ranged attack is really bad. Don't do that, okay? It's not worth it. The units themselves will do more damage on their own than when they are inside the siege tower. That's why. But yeah, if you have Farzana, it's definitely worth trying it out. And this is another build I need to check out. Dang it. So definitely do it with Farzana if you're going purely siege towers with some units inside. And then obviously H4 unit Amethyst of Media. Why? More health, more damage, lower population cost, that means more siege towers for you, and also extra damage against buildings, which should work with the ranged attack as well. And with the +1 area damage, it should be easier to hit enemy buildings with the ranged attacks within the splash. So you might be even able to destroy them before the siege towers even reach them, which could be funny to see. But yeah, this is mainly, hey, huge buffs for your siege towers. You can see it. Why would I pick anything else? I think these stats just speak for themselves, and the -1 pop cost means more siege towers for me. With all these bonuses as well, remember that. Alternatives, there's not really an alternative, but yeah, if you wanna pick something, I guess Agamemnon would be the best one if you're looking for military power, but otherwise I guess Boudica for the economy or Timo for the Palinteron's backline to destroy buildings from the distance. And that's about it. So that's the siege towers. And last one, which I forgot and remembered when I saw Barrows was here, and that's the Babylonian priest. And Babylonian priests are, I would say, one of the best. I'm not really sure if I would say the best currently, because there is Pontifex, there is Priest of Set or Priest of Taf with Sesostris, or even the Persian Magus is there. So it's hard to tell which one would be the best. But if I had to say, these would be probably top 3. I would say top 3. Without a problem. Maybe. Okay. And I don't have Agamemnon here. I thought I had Agamemnon here. Now that I'm thinking about it. Man, I don't have him. That's weird. But yeah. What do we want here? Is priest. Priest for Babylonians, thanks to their Golden Age tech, makes them convert enemy units even faster, and that's what we are going about. Faster converting units with pretty good range. And so Agathon, again, we just want to focus on the villagers, no problem. Put them on some other resources, wood, gold, as we need. Then H2, what you want is Berossus the Wise. Why? Because cheaper ziggurats, which means, hey, you can easily build multiple ziggurats, which means, hey, more priests for me to train at the same time. So yeah, more priests. Plus, you also get the training time for your priests and research time for the techs at ziggurat, which doesn't look that good once you are like Silver Age, Golden Age, but when you are in Bronze Age, this is actually really nice because you have only 4 gardens, and when they are at the weakest, which is only 3% reductions per garden. So this definitely is a nice buff if you want to reach the Silver Age as soon as possible, start producing the priests. If you want to train more priests, it definitely makes easier with the fact that ziggurats are cheaper. So that's why pretty much just fast age up with fast priest production. H3 obviously Mehrab, because yes, this is probably the best priest advisor you can find. What else would you pick? Maybe Ahapitep, but with the discounts and training time is not gonna help you. Movement speed that has been currently added could be interesting, but who really cares? You just want to convert the enemy units as fast as possible. That's why Mehrab always. And Golden Age, here I would suggest picking Agamemnon, because whatever quest you're playing, you will be converting multiple unit types, whether it's cavalry, ranged, infantry, siege. You'll be just converting all of them, and obviously Agamemnon is gonna buff all of them, so that's why Agamemnon. You could focus also on just one unit type like infantry with Theocles, but who really cares about that, to be honest? I think other alternative would be Boudica because of the economy, so yeah, get the armor attacks without the need to mine stone anymore, so Boudica could be an option here. And I guess that's about it, the Babylonian priests. So final one, obviously it's the Navy, and you already know it. Thutmose, Horus, Ammon, Battleship, Pitas, whatever you want, H3, Typhon H4. It's obvious. Get as much wood as possible, which is even better for Babylonians because they get conservation tech in Bronze Age for the wood gathering from trees. So this is really good for them, even more wood for you. Alternative would be Muikmeron for the ox carts, since you will be focusing mainly on wood. You will probably have multiple locations where you're gathering from, so that's why multiple ox carts are gonna be needed, and it's definitely gonna be easier so your villagers don't have to walk the long distances, especially when they don't have the wheelbarrow techs to help them with that. So definitely utilizing the ox carts can be really good with Muikmeron here. screw Zephyros. Don't use Zephyros. And again, Agathon is an option as well. Horus, obviously, best navy buff you can get. Extra health and with lower training time. In case of Babylonians, you don't really care about the training time because you have Guardians. So the health is the important part. H3, Ammon for maximum range, which is good with your bireams. If you are going for ram ships, obviously battleship is there. If you just want to make the ships cheaper and faster, yeah, Pitas is there as well. So the typical 3, it's up to you, whichever you prefer. And H4, obviously Typhon. All ships deal more damage, like that's the best thing you can get. If you don't have Typhon, Agamemnon is there. Boudica is an option as well. And that's it. So that's the Babylonian advisor sets. Tell me what do you think about these? Have you tried these? Do you feel like, hey, I want to try these now? Sure, go ahead, and remember to tell how it went for you. Whether it's on Discord, in the comments, whatever. Did I miss some specific advisor sets? I think I went through as many as possible. There's just a lot. For Babylonians, it could be possible that I missed something, but yeah, I think like shield bearer, bowman, Sapper, story gods, lancers, chariots, priests, siege towers. Babylonians just have many options. So yeah, like this video, subscribe to the channel. I'll see you next time. Bye.